What's up, Whisper Nation? We're going live about the news and notes going down. A lot of big things shaking and happening. A lot of hamstrings. We're doing that live here on the Fantasy Whispers.
Right here.
What's going on, Whisper Nation? What's going on, Johnny?
Dude, what's up?
We're here on a Saturday, a little different than we'd normally do it because we are going to be hitting you up on Sunday morning in a few hours. But normally we would do this show on Friday afternoon and give you right after the ins and outs and the injury report. I am Big Travie. You can find me at Big Travie TFW on Twitter. This is Johnny Game Time Hicks. You can find him at Johnny_Game Time on Twitter.
Yep.
And you can find us at TF Whispers on Twitter. We've got all the fire over there, so check us out there. Johnny, how you doing today, brother?
Dude, I am so excited. We got a little bit of a taste on Thursday night. You know, we had Pat Mahomes in a couple leagues and stuff. Played some bad Mecole Hardman plays, but tomorrow
Don't loop me in on that.
Tomorrow is a chance to redeem that, and I'm looking forward to a full day of football, Travis. It should be a lot of fun. First day went pretty well, but we got a lot of injury news that came out this morning. So jumping on here will be a lot of fun talking through those.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a lot of fun to have those players that are hurt, that are banged up. But we're going to get you guys through it based on your lineup and what you've got going on. So drop your lineup questions in while this is going. We'll try to get to them between the news and give you some of these contingency plans you can go over for particular guys. But we're just going to go ahead and say what's up to our guy Brandon S. Brandon Stan, Listener League, legit fan of the Fantasy Whispers, part of Whisper Nation. Brandon, thanks so much for hopping in here, man. We really appreciate it.
You said Sammy Watkins is a league winner.
Well,
maybe.
he did play Sammy Watkins against you, right?
Yes, he did. Unfortunately,
yeah. I'm
gonna give it to him. He's probably gonna beat me this week. I had the Miles Sanders news that came out, so maybe we just open up the show with that. We talk about that news. So Miles Sanders. It was reported this morning, Travis, that he did not travel with the team. We were expecting him to play based on the fact that, the Philadelphia Eagles only carried 3 running backs after the roster cut down of Corey Clement, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders. So it gave us a lot of confidence that, hey, he was going to give it a go week 1. And then this morning, the news broke that he did not get on the plane. And now he is not going to suit up for week 1. So the immediate move is to go check your waiver wires, make sure that Corey Clement or Boston Scott is not available. Most likely Boston Scott is picked up, Travis, because
it just depends on the league. Some if you play in a competitive league, Boston Scott's going to be off the waiver wire. I think Corey Clement in deeper leagues is worth an add as well. Because this team likes him, and we don't know with these soft tissue issues. We saw a year in which Dalvin Cook, I believe, missed 11 games with a hamstring. It was a lot. I don't know how many it was, but that's the point we're getting at, is that this could linger. We hope that's not the case with our guy Miles Sanders. The Eagles have said that he's progressing well, that they believe they want him for the long haul, so that they are just trying to get through. It's Washington. Maybe they figured they had this one in the bag. They just want to be able to get through this game. And so that's kind of where we're at with that one. Moving on down the list.
Well, we should say, Boston Scott, you should definitely play, right? Would you play Corey Clement?
I think if you were in deeper leagues and needed somebody. Here's the thing. They're favored by about 5 or 6 points, I believe. And so if they get up in this game, they're going to want to push. Yeah, I believe it is 6 points. Yeah, if they get up in this game, they're going to want to push the tempo and grind out the clock. So, yeah, I think they'll get a good mix of both backs in this one. So Clement would be worth a, what the heck flex in a lot of situations.
Absolutely.
Cedro Gonzalez. Hey, guys, how's it going? It's going great. Appreciate you. Think Hollywood Brown is worth starting in week 1. I have DK, Calvin Ridley, and Adam Thielen. Woo! That is a pretty stacked tandem.
Yeah.
I would probably roll.
He has such a juicy matchup.
I would probably roll with all 3 that you have in there, but I don't mind maybe going with Marquise over Calvin Ridley just because Marquise has some huge upside here. So I'm leaning Marquise because I play for a lot of upside, but I understand keeping Ridley in there too. So I would say Marquise Brown, though, over Ridley. Delonta Thompson. Do I start Kendrick Bourne?
I would not.
Yeah, I don't think I could trust Kendrick Bourne. I actually think it's going to be a running back and Kittle game here, and they're just going to try and get by with that.
Yeah.
That is if they play. Keep monitoring that because the air quality over there
Right.
is under concern. Or Darius Slayton.
Because
I don't love Slayton's matchup either, though.
but I would rather.
I would rather play Slayton. I think you
Yeah.
got the big play.
Right. And you got to factor that Kendrick Bourne, if he is the starting wide receiver on the outside, will be lined up against Patrick Peterson. And there's that's not a good matchup at all. Or if they go on the other side, you still have Kirkpatrick, which is a pretty solid corner on the other side for the Cardinals. So Darius Slayton is definitely the way that I would go because it only takes one play with him.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Moving on down the line, Cortland Sutton will be a game-time decision. You never like to see this, especially when you're going on a Monday night game. I would have to think, and this is just speculation.
I would have to think game in that Monday night.
I would have to think they're not going to start Sutton.
No, I don't think so.
And even if they did, I don't know if you want to risk waiting. So I would make contingency plans for Sutton. Johnny, without Sutton in there, you've got Jerry Judy, you've got Noah Fant. Are you upgrading both of these plays?
Yeah, I actually am. I think that Noah Fant is a huge boost for me. I was already liking this matchup coming in, and then you take away Sutton out of this, and I definitely could see him, with 8 targets, maybe 10 targets in this game. And then Jerry Judy is definitely someone that I wasn't considering starting, but given this kind of news, they have to throw the ball to somebody, and I expect them to be down in this game, and so does Vegas. So does Vegas with the over/under and the point spread. So I would start Jerry Judy.
Yeah,
a flex.
I think Jerry Judy's good in a flex. I do like Noah Fant. I'm upgrading Noah Fant. If you've got him on your roster, you got to try and get him in there if you can, because I think he's got an opportunity here to really see a good uptick in volume as the only one that Drew Lock's really used to throwing to. All right, so we've got, moving on down the list. Obviously, we have the situation with Kenny Golladay. Yeah. I know I have Kenny Golladay in a few leagues. He was downgraded to doubtful, I believe. Yeah. So that is not something you like to see. I love Marvin Jones. I think the matchup for Marvin Jones here, especially in this matchup, that's going to be Stafford's go-to. And then T.J. Hawkinson. It'll be interesting to watch T.J. Hawkinson. He's coming back from the ankle injury, and you just kind of want to know what he's going to be able to do. He said he was 100% this week, so I'm feeling confident in that. A lot of what we advised you to do, Whisper Nation, was to take 2 tight ends. So you might be deciding between a T.J. Hawkinson and a Noah Fant, or a T.J. Hawkinson and a Jonnu Smith. I tend to lean on the wait and see on Hawkinson just until we can kind of see what's going on with his ankle. But I understand wanting to get him out there. He is a physical specimen. All right, so Cedro Gonzalez says Phillip Rivers or Danny Dimes. Dimes has a tougher matchup. Yeah, I'm getting nowhere near Daniel Jones this week. He's going to face that Pittsburgh defense. It's not going to be good.
No.
It is not going to be good for Daniel Jones this week. But I like what Brandon S. said here. Get Tyrod over both of them.
Yeah.
Look, Tyrod's going to be a sneaky play this week. I think Tannehill's a nice play with Von Miller out. I think there's a few nice plays here, but that Chargers game, not a very high over/under, so you don't love that. But I kind of do. I like what's going on in the San Fran game. You could maybe look at Jimmy Garoppolo as a streamer. There's a few out there that are nice based on what's going on. Pontiac died in 1981, says Danny Dimes. I cannot advise Danny Dimes this week, man. Just going to be too tough against that Pittsburgh D. James Hawkins, SOS. I started David Johnson and CEH. For my flex, I have Connor or Ingram. Who do I play? Oh,
Connor.
James Conner all day.
For sure, yeah.
James Conner has nobody behind him challenging for snaps. If James Conner's a health risk, he's not a health risk in this game, so you might as well fire him up here. If you believe that he's made of glass, you better play him now because you don't think he's going to make it. So, And James Conner, I mean, that Giants defense is not anything to be afraid of this year.
And I understand. I mean, I get the question because Mark Ingram also has a very nice matchup, and they should also be very favored, or they are very favored in that game. So it should be a very run-heavy kind of scheme. But certainly, like, you're playing James Conner this week of all weeks. So it was kind of like the Will Fuller thing too, right? Like, people were saying, oh, do I start Will Fuller this week? Yes. Will Fuller is healthy right now. You put him in your lineup as long as that happens. So,
all right, we've got 13 watching. Thanks so much for hopping in here on this Saturday. We get through some of the news and notes, help you guys prepare for Sunday. So glad to have football back.
Yeah.
14 of you guys watching now. If you guys could get those likes up, we got 14 watching, only 3 likes. We would love to have you guys smash that like button for us. Help us get this out there. We just released a couple videos on the Seattle matchup, Seattle versus Atlanta and Minnesota versus Green Bay. Those are part of our larger matchup show, which you guys can all get a piece of. If you get over to Patreon and subscribe at the $1 level, you get the whole matchup show audio form. If you subscribe at the $5 level, you get the video form. You get all of our beautiful faces on there, and we've got a nice crew diving through those. But we have the audio available for 3 weeks on Spotify, so make sure you're downloading that if you missed out on some of the matchups. We've got Josh Allen or Kyler Murray. 100% Kyler Murray. This is Kyler Murray was where Kyler Murray was drafted means you believe that he is going to end up top 5 at the position. You have to be starting Kyler Murray until further notice. What do you guys think of T. Higgins in Dynasty?
I like him. He's already starting to play in 3 wide receiver sets, which is really impressive considering the first news out of Cincinnati was that he was going to take over the A.J. Green role and kind of be groomed underneath A.J. Green. And now he's so talented that they're also putting him on the field as well. So I think that T. Higgins has a bright future. And I actually think that he has a brighter future than some of the other wide receivers that were taking him after, actually, in most rookie drafts. So it will be fun and interesting for sure there.
Eric Zubert in the comments here. What about Benny Snell? Don't get us started on Benny Snell. Johnny won't be happy about that one. So Benny Snell is the direct handcuff, though, for James Conner.
Yeah, I will say.
Make sure.
Yeah, I will say with the news that has come out over you got to be water. You change with different. You change your opinions based on new information, and the fact that Mike Tomlinson has come out and straight up endorsed Benny Snell the last couple of weeks and said he's had a great training camp and all of that. You do have to believe in what Tomlinson said, because Tomlinson has always been very truthful with us as a coach. And so you must say, I tip my hat to Travis, but I do think there is a bright future in the next couple of years. So I would not drop him in Dynasty if you do have the rookie there.
So Delonta Thompson's talking. I disagree. Says I would start Josh Allen against the Jets and bench Kyler this week against the 49ers. Now, on the surface, I would understand maybe why you like this, because you think the San Fran defense is elite and it's going to give Kyler Murray trouble. I just need you to understand a couple things. Kyler Murray's offense is completely more stacked than the Buffalo offense. They want to throw the ball more. Kyler Murray will be, he's definitely a better runner than Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen's had more rushing success in the NFL, but the athlete here that wins is Kyler Murray. Accuracy is Kyler Murray. The better overall quarterback is Kyler Murray. I understand wanting to target the Jets, but that Buffalo Jets game is a 39.5-point over-under. It's the second lowest over-under on the week. I'm sorry, third lowest over-under on the week, which actually, no, it is the lowest over-under on the week. I apologize. 39.5 points, which means Vegas thinks the least amount of points are going to be scored in that game. So I would rather invest.
Buffalo is favored by 6.5,
which means they're probably going to run the clock out.
Whereas in Arizona is against San Francisco, and they're a 48-point over/under in Vegas, and Arizona is 7-point dog in that matchup, which would indicate that they'd be throwing more.
Yeah. So Evan Silva came out and tweeted the other day that I really liked and I really vibe with. He says, if you're stuck between two players, look at what's going on in the game, look at the over-under, and pick somebody that's got a higher over-under, because your opportunity to get more points is there. And I really like that strategy, so I wanted to deploy that there for you guys here. How do we think Nick Chubb performs in Week 1? Johnny, I'll let you answer that one. Mo Balls wants you to talk about his guy, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, Mo Balls.
I like, even they're against Baltimore, yes, but Nick Chubb is going to be a solid running back for you this week. In most instances, you probably got him in the second round, which means he's going to be your RB2, which I love because he definitely has RB1 upside, even though he's going against Baltimore, because we have to remember that Cleveland's offensive line is vastly improved. Also, they're going to want to keep Baltimore's offense off the field. And so what are they going to do in order to do that? They're going to run the ball, which we already know is Stefanski's in his DNA. So definitely I'm not shying away from starting Nick Chubb this week.
I like that. How do you feel about Jarvis? I have CD on the bench. Well, Cooper, I believe, from the latest updates, it is that Cooper is going to play. I think.
Yeah, that's the latest that they said.
So
Cooper's going to play.
CD loses a little bit of shine if Cooper is going to suit up, but he will be on. Jalen Ramsey will be on Cooper, so there's a play there. This one's a little tough for me. I just don't know about Landry's usage. He came out this week and said it will be game script dependent. But look, if Cleveland's trying to move the ball late in this game against Baltimore, then I kind of like Jarvis Landry more than a guy that we haven't seen in the NFL yet in CeeDee Lamb. You guys liking Cam Newton or Wentz this week? And how's the outlook on Jonnu Smith? Jonnu Smith and A.J. Brown are the only pass catchers for this offense. I believe they both stand to have some good volume in this game, so I really like Jonnu Smith this week. And Cam versus Wentz, man, with Miles Sanders out, they just keep dropping weapons in that Philly offense. I would probably lean Cam here in a game against Miami that he should be able to take advantage of a matchup there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hector Mejia? Thanks for joining. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you could hit that like button, we would appreciate it.
If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We go live all the time, put out daily content on our channel. We want to help win you that championship. That's our whole goal.
That's right.
As well as have fun and build a community where we all enjoy talking about fantasy football. So hit that sub, hit that bell.
Please, and thank you. Hector Mejia, what do you think about Gurley or Drake in full PPR? It's Drake all day for me, and the reason is he's out of the walking boot. He looks healthy. I know for a fact that Kenyon Drake, if healthy, is starting and getting targets and volume out of the backfield as a pass catcher. With Todd Gurley, I don't know how they're going to use him in the passing game yet. It is yet to be seen. I have an inkling. I think that they will, but I don't know that for sure yet, and so I would trust Drake over Todd Gurley. I think that's a no-brainer there. Ideas on Le'Veon Bell. Hopefully do not start him if you can.
Yeah.
That Buffalo Bills defense is it's a doozy. We did talk a little bit about Boston Scott. We like that start this week. Washington, Jake 1079 says Washington was awful against the run last year. Yes, and this is a game where the Eagles are favored, so we like Boston Scott a lot this week. Couple of news notes as far as contracts are concerned, Johnny. Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, and Cooper Kupp all getting extensions. So that's big news. Obviously,
good Saturday for them.
Yeah. People are getting paid.
Yeah.
But I love the Alvin Kamara and Dalvin Cook news, especially if you took these guys in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So you're breathing a big sigh of relief with this Saturday, right in time. It was kind of nice. I don't know if there's any mental game here, but to sign them right on Saturday, the day before they play, that's a pretty smart move.
Yeah,
I like get them signed up because they could be ready to go. Both these guys are locked and loaded into your starting lineup, so you feel great about that. Mike Evans has been upgraded to questionable. This was a big one today because he was trending, Johnny, in the wrong direction, but it looks like he's been upgraded.
He was originally listed as doubtful, which was wild because that he was actually put into questionable because given the history of the new designation, it's I think this would be the first time, if I'm not mistaken, Whisper Nation, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first time where a player that was listed as doubtful actually might, if he ended up playing, might actually play, which will be kind of crazy. But I would still, even if he plays, I'm not confident in rolling out there. He's against Marcus Lattimore. So I think even if he were to play, it would just be a decoy. So I'm staying away from Mike Evans this week, whether or not he goes.
Yeah, I would tend to want to lean away from Evans. Now, if you can't afford it, I understand this matchup is another high over-under. It's one you want to try and cash in on. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and I could see a situation where BA maybe just wanting to use Mike Evans as a decoy out there.
Yeah.
Could be a situation. So Kevin Carter says, Landry or CD, do you think CD is worth a shot? That's another game that has shootout potential. That Dallas Rams game on Sunday night, 51.5 point over-under with both teams. You know, the Rams are, I'm sorry,
I think I'm going
Cowboys.
Jarvis here. I'm going Jarvis. Because here's the thought process, right? I love CD. I think he's great. That offense, it should be on fire, right? But you're talking about the fourth option in that offense on week 1 as a rookie stepping in, and you're versus Jarvis Landry, who I understand there's like a little bit of the injury concern there and the game plan, but according to Vegas, they should be down. And if there's anybody who I know is going to get peppered with targets, it's going to be Jarvis Landry. And so I'm more confident in the volume that Jarvis Landry is going to see than I am in CeeDee Lamb in week 1. I think CeeDee Lamb, long term is a very good play. I think he's definitely very interesting, especially with Cooper starting off the season on like this with this injury stuff. That is concerning. But week 1, I don't know how many snaps he's going to see, and it just makes me concerned.
Yeah, I would get that. That makes a lot of sense. I like the process there. I'm a little tempted to start CeeDee Lamb because Cooper going up against Jalen Ramsey. But like you said, even if it's Gallup's the first option and then it's CD, you could look at Zeke as the next option,
yeah.
like Jarwin. Some of these guys step up, and let's see how it shakes out with CD. I know you're tempted. Let's see how it shakes out.
Yeah.
Another guy you probably want to look how it shakes out is Deandre Swift. Deandre Swift was removed from the injury report, so that's good news for Deandre Swift truthers, because we're actually going to see him he fully practiced Friday. We're going to see what his split looks like with Kerryon Johnson, with Adrian Peterson, and how he's used in the passing game, and especially with Kenny Golladay likely out. How does Swift's role change in the passing game, and what will his targets look like? So keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
Edwin Parilla says, what about Henry Ruggs? Well, what about Henry Ruggs, Edwin Parilla? No. He's a starter. Both he and Brian Edwards named starter. Tyrell Williams on IR. I like Henry Ruggs. I've been drafting him everywhere I can for the most part. I think of the rookie wide receivers, he makes a lot of sense. Not knowing who you're asking to start him over, but you likely don't need to start him this week unless, let's say, you have a Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, Kenny Golladay, and you didn't have a lot of depth, and you might want to slide him in there. He is a contingency plan in that case. Hector Mejia, would you play Minshew or Wentz? I'm playing Carson Wentz here. I think the matchup's better. I think I like Minshew a lot. I think he's a nice streamable option, but Wentz was drafted as a starter. I think he finishes the year as a starting QB. I think he's good to go here.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones or Deontay Johnson? Deontay Johnson in standard.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I like Deontay Johnson's matchup a lot. I was worried because he ended up on the injury report on Thursday with a foot, but then he upgraded to a full practice on Friday.
Yep.
So we love that about Deontay Johnson. In I Green, have you talked about Boston Scott yet? Yes, we did. We love that matchup for Boston Scott. Obviously, the news came in that Miles Sanders did not even travel. We're cool with Boston Scott.
Whereabouts would you start? Like, where would you put him in? I think an RB2. The RB2 or flex. So, like, would you... Like, obviously, you're not starting him over Jonathan Taylor.
No,
so
and, like, I think he's at the end of the RB2 range for me. He's at the end of the RB2 flex range for me. I think it's somewhere in between.
James White or Boston Scott?
I'd take Boston Scott.
Okay.
Antonio Gibson or Boston Scott? I'm taking Boston Scott.
Yeah.
I've seen Boston Scott be the guy in this offense and produce RB1 numbers. So I'm not saying he doesn't have the RB1 in his path, but I like Boston Scott. You should be trying to get him in your lineup if you can, if you came up on him here. Kevin Carter says, thanks. Loved your input. Appreciate you, Kevin. If you could hit us with that like, hit us with a sub. We'd love to have you as a part of Whisper Nation. Everybody watching here, 18 watching. We love you guys. Appreciate you in here. Give us a like. Give us a sub. We would appreciate that. All right, so Jaws Whedon coming in. Love having Jaws in here. He mocks with us all the time. He says, Dak tends to lean on veterans. Lamb might be different, though. Yeah, it is tempting. It is, and you said that right there. It is tempting. I just want to see it with CD first.
Yeah,
I want to see if Dak's looking towards him, because without preseason, without live action, we just don't know, especially with wide receiver. I mean, look at Pat Mahomes on Thursday night as an example. He sailed a few balls. He overthrew a few screens. He threw what should have been a pick a couple times.
Two. Yeah, two. That should have been.
I think that's the best QB in the game. Without preseason, just look that kind of sloppy. So you have to just remember that, what we're dealing with. You mix in the fact that these are rookies, it just gets a little tempting, and I understand that, but you got to kind of hold fast on what you drafted. Thoughts on OBJ versus Humphrey? Look, I know OBJ does not have a great matchup, but it's OBJ. And it's OBJ fully healthy.
I guess depending on your roster, you could have went. If OBJ could have been a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 2, so it's hard to say depending on who you have, on whether or not you're sitting OBJ. But once again, not the best matchup, but it is OBJ. Like, OBJ is not what he put on tape last year. Like, he's a lot better than what we remember, and so I mean, this guy can hang with the best of the best corners. Yeah, we're talking one of the most elite wide receiver athletes on the football field. So we got to win.
Yeah, so Kevin Carter, thanks for the sub, the like. He says, interesting. I have Deontay Johnson, too. How about Johnson versus Landry? I'm still taking Johnson here.
Yeah, I'm taking
Landry's
Johnson.
hesitancy is that he has said out loud his usage will depend on the game script and their plan, and he is coming off that hip surgery. So I could see something where they limit his snaps coming back, because they're just trying to make sure he's healthy for the long run. Pizza Machine, great name. Oh, man, pizza sounds so good right now.
I know, we got to hit some of that up.
Talk about Jerry Judy with Sutton likely out. We did talk a little bit about this, but I do want to say Jerry Judy is in line here. If you've got wide receiver depth issues, but you had Jerry Judy, and you can slide him in the flex, I feel comfortable doing that, unlike CD, because Jerry Judy is going to have a real path to volume, at least here in week 1, if Sutton sits out.
Yep.
And he's probably out. So James Hawkins says, thanks all. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Medina 510, would you say Boston Scott or Chris Carson? I'm still taking Chris Carson here.
For sure.
I know there's been concern with Chris Carson saying things, but Pete Carroll says a lot of things in that locker room, and usually they have pounded Chris Carson no matter what's going on. They know his running style is dangerous, but they love pounding him and getting him the rock.
And they also don't have him on contract beyond this year, so I don't see them turning away due to.
And here's the thing: Pete Carroll has never really used a committee, and Doug Peterson has.
Right.
So would I be more surprised if Pete Carroll used a committee this weekend? Yes. I would be not as surprised if Boston Scott and Corey Clement got equal work this week, especially since they're favored in that matchup. Keith Carter, I'm thinking the Browns are going to eat clock and play small ball, trying to get Landry out of my lineup. I understand that. I think the Deontay Johnson move is right. James Hawkins, do you all think Crowder will have a good week? Crowder may be the only Jet, I think, to have a good week. I like Herndon on the outside, but Crowder is definitely the guy you're locking in if you're locking in any on the Jets roster for me.
Yeah, he's a solid flex play for me. I don't know if he might get, if you're in a PPR league, he'll probably get enough targets to be a wide receiver too. And if it was anything like last year's week 1 where he got 20 targets in that game and caught like 18 of them, he could be a wide receiver 1 in PPR. But the yardage probably won't be very high. Once again, they're going against Buffalo, and that is not a good matchup at all. But if you are starting anyone, like Travis said, on the outside,
especially if you're in a PPR, James, with that Crowder, like get Crowder in there because he's going to catch like 7-8 balls this weekend.
Yeah.
Justin Young says, should I start Doyle, Melvin Gordon, or Rieger in the flex full PPR? This is Melvin Gordon. And Doyle, I understand the propensity to want to start Jack Doyle. We just have to see what Phillip Rivers and his dynamic is, because not only is Doyle there, Michael Pittman is there, Paris Campbell is there, and T.Y. Hilton is there, all fully healthy. So we don't really know how that's going to shake out just yet. They also have the backs. Melvin Gordon, especially with Sutton potentially out, could be another guy that gets an uptick in targets this week. He is a pretty good pass catcher, and I like him to be the main reason they move the ball maybe even at all on Monday night against that Titans defense. I Green, start flex bench, DJ Shark, Terry McLaurin, and DK Metcalf. Ooh.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
You're going to start Terry McLaurin here, I think. You're going to flex DK Metcalf and bench DJ Shark. That would be my take, only because I think the upside of DK just kind of gets me a little bit more going than DJ Shark. And I think Terry McLaurin's volume...
I would start Terry McLaurin, flex DJ Chark, and sit DK Metcalf. Do you think Herndon or Jonnu Smith at tight end? I would go. Ooh, this is a good one. I like that matchup.
I'm taking Jonnu. I want to see Herndon fully healthy in the lineup first.
I'm going to go Herndon on this one.
All right, well, tell me why.
I'm going to go Herndon because I think that I don't see very many times in which they're going to be able to throw to wide receivers for the Jets. So I just think that it's going to be, I'm considering this a PPR. If it's just if it's standard, I'm going Jonnu. If it's standard league. Because I think that Jonnu could have the bigger game and have more yardage and possibly get a touchdown. Or I think that, there is a touchdown possibility for Chris Herndon, but I just think he's going to get a lot of targets because they're not going to have anyone else to throw to.
I think Jonnu Smith and A.J. Brown are the focal point of the passing attack, and I'm going Jonnu Smith. I think that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
For me there. Yolanta Thompson says, anybody concerned with Darren Waller, especially with Jason Witten there now? I'm not concerned because of Jason Witten. I would be concerned that maybe the rookies take away from some of Waller's targets this year, but I would be okay with Waller. I kind of warmed up to him at the end of the year. He definitely still has a great shot to lead this team in targets, especially in a PPR. I like Waller a lot. Jaws Whedon says Hyde would likely be 3 yards and a cloud of dust guy, though. Yeah, 100%. Edwin Perilla says, what about Lazard? Should I pick him up or D-Jax on waivers and start him? I have Mike Evans and Galladay. I'm starting Ruggs and need another wide receiver.
I would do D-Jax.
Deshaun Jackson needs to be picked up, Edwin, and started in your lineup. And I would start him over Galladay for sure. I think you start Mike Evans, and then I would start Deshaun Jackson over Henry Ruggs, to be honest.
Do we have any more news stuff to go over?
I think
is that about it?
I think we hit about most of it. Yeah, just, keep an eye on that. We also have tomorrow morning, we'll be going live 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on the same YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go ahead and hit us up there. Otherwise, you can follow the channel. We'll be putting out stuff all the time. And like I said, we have the full in-depth matchup show, which you can get on Spotify right now if you download that. We will be moving that to Patreon, but you can get it for free right now. And we also have our matchup column over on the fantasywhisperers.com. So if you like to read those matchup articles, we've got one over there. Other than that, we got to get it running. We will be back with you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the same channel for an hour, going through your lineup questions there. You can also DM us on any social media platform. We'll try to get to that as well. I'm Big Travie. That's Johnny Game Time Hicks. We're the Fantasy Whisperers. Peace.
Peace.